welcome everybody. Great to see you all. Appreciate you giving us some time today, which is the 21st of September, I believe. As always, I'd just like to begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm on, which is the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders past, present, and extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people online today. So this is our 8th community of practice for Western Sydney Moving, which is fantastic. I suppose just a little bit of a recap why we're here. For those that are new today, and I know Kelly's new here from UTS, we're a bunch of practitioners, researchers, physical activity enthusiasts who are trying to collectively create more active lives within Western and reduce physical inactivity. So there's obviously some great work that's going on out there, which we want to illuminate. But if we worked more collectively, there's opportunity for us to really shift the needle a little bit. In terms of physical inactivity levels. And this community practice is just about sharing, collaborating, and opening some doors for some people, really. And so we want to hold the space a little bit later to just give people the opportunity for that. And we usually have a few guest speakers. Last session was very much around the local health districts and their work, and had some terrific feedback from people on those. And Alison was one of those who's on the call today from Southwestern Local Health District, and we had Andrew from Western Sydney Local Health District. So that's a little bit about the format. I wanted to just touch on the Western Sydney Moving Symposium, which is scheduled for the 16th of November at Blacktown. So we're really excited about this. If you could just pop yourself on mute, whoever that is, please, just for a second. Thank you. We've been working towards this through these community of practices and an in-person event where we want to bring the physical activity system together. And we're really chuffed that we've been able to skew all the event partners. And that's really been it's a good reflection of this system, really, because we've got local government, academia, health within primary health networks, local health districts, sport, private enterprise, peak bodies, non-for-profit, social enterprise supporting us to deliver the program. I will pop it in the chat later if any of you have if you've not seen it yet. But we've got a full program, 24 speakers, lots of panelists, and it's very exciting. I'm a little bit nervous because you're doing something for the first time, but hoping that we get a good representation there. Tickets are already going. It's $99 a ticket, but what I would say is the catering is $60 per person. It's pretty impressive. It's teas and coffee on arrival, buffet lunch, afternoon tea service, pens, pads, etc. So we've had to take that package because it's the actual provider of the facility. So that's just a bit of context there. But if anybody wanted to reach out and talk about the program, let me know. But I want to kind of leave it there and get into today, really, and our exciting guest speaker, which is Charlene. So on that, Charlene. I don't know if, for those who know Charlene, I don't know many more passionate about getting people active. And she's the founder and director of Advantageous, which is a wonderful social enterprise in Parramatta. And today's presentation is about moving Parramatta's, empowering communities and corporates through cycling.
Thanks.
Okay, so we'll have some time at the end for questions. But yeah, over to you, Charlene.
Fantastic. Thank you, David. And everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with the intros, shall we, David? Next slide.
Sure.
So my name is Charlene Bordley, founder of Advantageous, your cycling connections, with over 10 years supporting and cycling in Parramatta and Greater Western Sydney. I have built up my bike skills and experience over that time. Recently, I've partnered with Be Unstoppable Foundation for Riding for Positive Mental Health, and that was funded through New South Wales Government and supported by Outdoors New South Wales ACT. It was a 12-month funding time where we delivered 10 12-week programs, and we've had around 100 people go through the program and transition into our community bike library and still participate in our programs today. So from that, we wanted to build our opportunities for our hard to reach community and took on the challenge of the Para Pitch crowdfunding, where we raised some money to start the packaging and the marketing for the Move Parramatta's initiative. So we're really focusing on empowering office workers to move more. And we know that Parramatta needs to move for both health and sustainability. Thanks, David. So some of the challenges of modern work life, our long hours of sitting. Some of us are expressing that we're working from home still, and that can be a challenge. The decreased physical activity with this, the limited exercise opportunities, and I don't mean so much the infrastructure or the assets around us. We certainly got those challenges in Western Sydney, but something as simple as being able to get out on a lunch break in a timely manner where you can actually just slow down, be mindful, refuel your body with something, you know, healthy, and do a little bit of exercise. We rush ourselves so too often these days, and that's impacting our well-being and mental health. So the modern work life poses those health challenges. Next. So, as I said, doing the program of Riding for Positive Mental Health, talking to those 100 participants and finding out that we had a good mix of hard to reach community, people who were taking time off work. So we were able to have these discussions, and it's timely for us to now start taking our community work and putting it into the corporate world. So we really want to promote the active transport, specifically riding to work, and enhancing that well-being and work-life balance. We know that there are some key barriers. We know about the access to bikes and bike equity in the community, the riding skills that are required, and simple things like our end-of-trip facilities. There's no point having the best end-of-trip facility with more bike racks than you need if you can't access it. So it can be a challenge when you have to maneuver your bike up and down stairs, even with a wheel ramp. Not everyone wants to or has the confidence to be able to access a car park with the ramps with other vehicles. So we want to start having conversations in that advocacy space where we can future-proof. I personally ride an e-bike, and I'm actually talking from experience with a local bike rack, which is in the lower car park of a new developed building. And it's just too scary to maneuver that bike down a ramp. At speed, it gets away from you, and of course when you're trying to go up the stairs, it's so heavy to move. We've got a lot of families starting to come into Parramatta. That bike culture, what you see in the city of Sydney, is starting to come out west. So we need to start thinking how we can retrofit and better plan. Next, please.
Just a reminder for everybody just to go on mute, please. That would be really appreciated. Thanks, Charlene. I'll just move it on.
Thank you. So the picture that you see in the slide we're leaving from, that is a display of our bikes that we have in our library, and I'll tell you more about how that works at the end. So a bit of a personal story of empowerment. I am from the generation where 70% of children rode to school, and my children are the 70% that was driven to school. And yes, I'm guilty. So life gets demanding. We go from driver's license as teenagers to study, family life, work life, and it just becomes hectic. And we get caught up into this cycle that by the time I turned 40, I had convinced myself I was too old to ride a bike. Now, I know how silly that sounds now, especially when I have 75-year-olds who come and ask me, how do I learn to ride a bike? How did I get to that point of, that self-doubt? So I'm now been rediscovering the freedom of riding. Through my work, day by day, I'm learning so much more about it. I accidentally discovered a bike education and training program. Back then it was through Cycling Australia, who now call themselves Oz Cycling. And it was a game changer for me. I said on the program, if only I had learnt these defensive riding and hazard awareness skills when I was a teenager, that active transport would have been embedded in my day-to-day practice, and I wouldn't have been 40 with that self-doubt. I'd just be empowering everyone around me, which is what I do now. So I really do like focusing on that bike education and training and empowering others. And I've discovered through the programs we've delivered that one of the school programs, the teachers were surprised that the Year 6 kids didn't know how to ride a bike. And it's not that uncommon. By asking the parents if they rode a bike, we realised that if they're not riding a bike, they perceive cycling as this high-risk activity. It's not safe. So we upskilled some mums, and what we saw is they started to facilitate their children riding to school. They started riding to school with them, and the families started to ride outside of school. We then saw the community engagement where they wanted to get more involved and run more programs and activities. And as a social enterprise, that social impact is so hard to measure. It's such a ripple effect. That program I'm talking about was something like 8 years ago, and I still get people bumping into me and going, oh, it's changed our life. Next, please. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. One of my favourite little quotes from Albert Einstein there. Next. So I want you to get ready for an exciting journey. We want to put this bike education and training knowledge into the corporate world. It's not new. There used to be a Get Healthy at Work program that supported all of this. And I guess now that that's finished, who's filling the gap of it? So we would like to go into workplaces in Parramatta and start there and start having these conversations. encouraging participation in our cycling programs and promoting that sustainable transport through the team building activities that we would be doing. Next, please. So some of the Discover program highlights, some of the program highlights is the interactive activities, the practical exercises, and the engaging discussions. And this could be from bite-sized workshops for lunch breaks, learning how to ride a bike, bike maintenance skills, trip planning, a whole range of things. And the key benefits of these activities is that team building, the enhanced cycling skills, and the vibrant cycling community that we're trying to build. We do have a holistic approach to cycling in what we actually offer. We'll come into the workplace and have these discussions and do the whole need assessment. There's no point us coming in and just saying, this is what we do. We want to hear what is needed in the workplace and fit it around that. Yep, you can go to the next one. So some of our learning objectives is around that development of the defensive riding skills and hazard awareness, discovery, the trip planning strategies, and the bike maintenance knowledge that I mentioned. What we found with bike maintenance in particular for women is just knowing how to change a tyre gives you that self-confidence to get out there and give it a go. We're already managing a lot of what if negative messaging. We're trying to navigate through our environments with our safety, lens on, to be worrying about if a tyre has a puncture, how am I going to fix it? Who's going to help me? All those sort of things. It just exhausts you and it does put you off. It becomes another barrier. So we want to help support those lifelong skills for work and play. Next. So some of the benefits that a worker can experience is that joy and freedom of cycling. We take it back to the basic skills and we build that confidence up. When someone comes to me and says, I want to learn to ride, we talk them through what it looks like, we demonstrate it, and then we start with what they're comfortable with. We're not going to say, on your bike, let's go push you down a hill. And I'm sure people are already thinking about their childhood as I say that and learning to ride a bike. We want to really help support that idea of improved fitness. I personally know that this week in particular, I seem to be at the desk more than not. I am itching to get out there on the bike and go for a nice long ride. Even in that heat yesterday, I was out there finding all the shady spots where to ride. I just know for my mental health, I need to do it. So I manage my migraines around all this. So I know that if I don't keep moving, my body's going to seize up and that puts more stress on the body and I end up with the migraines. And we want people to understand the impact here and reducing the carbon footprint. Parramatta, the city of Parramatta in particular, is already congested on the roads. We want to alleviate all that. We want to free up our streets. We've got there stronger teamwork, positive impact on health, environment, and community. Next slide, please. So these programs that we're taking into the corporate world have that social impact that will help the community. So the funds that we actually raise through those corporate programs will reinvest back into the community. We've already got a number of projects happening. One of them is Her Cycling Connections and the other one is the Community Bike Library. So we would like you to come and talk to us, start the conversation. and how we can actually work together on this. And again, joy of freedom, the improved fitness, the reduced carbon footprint, stronger collaboration with your team during Get Active at Work, Get Healthy at Work, sorry. It actually talked about the increase of productivity and less absenteeism were some of the outcomes of these sort of programs. So we would like you to join us for making a difference. Next slide, please. So don't miss this opportunity. Our call to action is to create this bike culture. One moment. To create this bike culture in your workplace and support it. Some of the activities that are coming up in the next month, October is Biketober Business Challenge, and we've got the Love to Ride platform supporting that initiative. 18th of October is Ride to Work Day. So we are here to support workplaces, celebrate that in whatever capacity they can. So overall, improving your health and environment, strengthening your team's bond, and being part of something amazing. So we encourage you to join the cycling revolution today. And I think that's it. Have I got it right? Yay! And I welcome questions. I am more of a question answer person than a slide. I can breathe now.
Well done, Charlene. You did a terrific job there, and yeah, you can be very proud of how you presented that, and very clear and lots of great facts. And I'm going to hand it over to everybody for some questions, but I might just jump in there quick if that's all right. If there was one ask of this group, Charlene, to help you, what would that be?
I'm so sorry, David. Give me 1 second. I hope to avoid this.
That's okay. Anybody want to any reflections on that? Oh, Charlene's back. You back?
I should have put a do not disturb sign on the door.
That's okay. No problem. We're all friends here. So yeah, is there an ask of this group to help you in any way? How can we help you?
So I know that we've got local health districts, government. I mean, I'm very fortunate that the City of Parramatta currently supports us a lot, but we need some of those doors open for us to go in. So I guess I'm looking for a workplace that wants to be the hero champion here and allow us to trial a program with you. We've got these, as I said before, these bite-sized workshops where we just want to come in for 15 minutes, show people how to do a basic maintenance skill, or come in and show them trip planning. So just to start the discussions, we want to encourage some lunch rides just to start exploring the local areas as well. So I'm pretty keen, and I have started the conversations with the City of Parramatta to be able to do that. So it'd be a case of a workplace going, we've got 6 people who are interested in trialing this program in whatever shape, form that looks like.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions, observations?
No, I was just going to say, I put a comment about, I know that the CARP Foundation no longer run this, but I do think that this idea around bike buses were quite good, because a lot of people really struggle to get on a bike because it's bloody dangerous in Sydney. And if you haven't grown up on a bike, a lot of people find it quite challenging. I don't know if there's anyone there. I didn't work on that program when I was there, but it was a nice idea around having whether it's workplaces, having people that meet and then cycle together to get over the hurdle. So yeah, I mean, I don't know a huge amount about it, but it's worth exploring if you want to take the idea and run with it.
So we can facilitate those sort of activities. So we did a bike bus for National Tree Day. So we provided bike valet parking at the event, and we actually had some meeting points where people met us and we led them into that activity. So it's something that we do. We mention the word bike and we come up with something.
Thanks for that, Camilla. Ali?
Yeah, great stuff, Camilla. Absolutely great stuff what you're doing. It is really, really scary travelling on the streets of Sydney, and I do know that the City of Sydney is doing some great stuff in the spaces of of separation of cycling lanes and separation. That's something that I think local councils could be advocating a lot better for, and I know that you're doing a great job at the City Parramatta to do that. Just a thought and I push this everywhere I go, with the councils are about to go into a round of integrated planning and reporting and reviewing their delivery programs and looking at their new community strategic plans. I just want to encourage everybody here to look at the work Charlene's doing and to maybe put in a submission and a suggestion into the review of councils' CSPs and delivery programs and say, this is what we need, a separation or a fair use of the public space in our transport corridors. We find, I went to a wonderful little discussion yesterday about at the Festival of Contested Urbanism and looking at how we contest our spaces. And cars are dominant because we rely upon them so much. But how do we then enable people to have a voice to say, it's time for the bike. It's time for those we can still ride and drive. I know I live out here in God's country. I live miles away from where I can ride, and it's very dangerous on rural roads. But if I can pop my bike in the back and go to somewhere where there's an event and start to encourage people to do that, I will. But I'm really advocating for people to use the integrated planning and reporting framework process to advocate and get a voice on the agenda for separated spaces or the fair use of our public space transit corridors.
So, Ali, my response to that is we've been talking about this. The talk has been there for way too long. It's time for action. And I've been doing this for 10 years and talking about it for 10 years. And I'm now getting to the point where I'm being a little bit bold and saying enough's enough. Shared paths are coming, but the changing here, once you actually get someone out doing some of these basic cycling skills, you empower them to explore and investigate more. So with the Riding for Positive Mental Health program, we've actually had these riders come back and go, oh, I didn't know that this local path was near my house. I didn't know how easy it was to move around. We automatically think cycling and we think roads and scariness. It doesn't have to be that hard. Break it down and keep it simple. I don't like riding from Blacktown or Doonside to Blacktown. I'm advocating more shared paths in that low socio-economic area. It's a black hole. And they are the people that need, this is where the bike equity comes into it. And sorry, you've started me now. You can see how passionate I am. I have to risk my life for 5 minutes to get to Blacktown train station. Hopefully when that lift starts operating in a couple of months, it will be different. But I have to risk my life because it's illegal for me to ride on a footpath. I have to go out onto that road. Once I get to Blacktown, I'm on shared path. I know my way, and it's de-stress so that I can arrive to work ready to start. And they're the barriers that people are just saying that's too hard. We want to have the conversations and go, okay, what is it? Is it park and ride? Is it just ride to the nearest bike rack at the local train station? We want to have these conversations, but we want to take action. I want to get into these workplaces and start these conversations and get it happening.
I'm just going to keep it moving and I'm going to go to Tiffany and then we'll go to Nadine. But Tiffany?
Hi, thanks, David. And thank you, Charlene. I love grassroots stuff. I love your enough is enough point of view. So thank you. Keep fighting the good fight. Just to your point about workplaces, I really believe that our local spaces are absolutely critical to health and well-being. Sorry, I'm in the Obesity Collective, and we're advocating nationally for healthier spaces and places. So I'm going to drop in a report that we did that's trying to frame health and well-being as an ESG responsibility. I think we've got a long way to go, but there might be some arguments in there, and it's coming from a very holistic perspective. But we really believe that workplaces are a really important avenue for some of these conversations. So, and happy to chat another time. I did economics and policy previously, so there is a productivity component as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Terrific, Tiffany. Thank you for that. Nadine?
Yeah, hi, Charlene. I just wanted to say a big thank you for what you're doing. I come from both sides of it. I've had a son who's had a cycling accident and a really bad brain injury. I'm doing well now, though. And I've just come from the Netherlands, where they ride bikes everywhere without helmets. It's just with cars. So, yeah, I mean, that infrastructure's been there for a very, very long time. But Australia is way, way, way behind. So, yeah, thank you for doing that work, because it's such a healthy lifestyle. People look to bikes before cars.
Yeah.
So, you know, ideal world.
And just to touch on that, Nadine, if you looked at Amsterdam in the 70s, it was not like it is today. And I think you touched on bike culture there, Charlene. So it can happen, but it takes a whole of system approach, I think.
Still want to see the helmets, though. That does freak me out just a little bit.
Yes. Yes.
I hear you. So, David, can I finish by just letting everyone know that this year we opened the Parramatta Bike Hub, located on the river foreshore of Sydney Olympic Park. And it's not been an overnight process, let me tell you, 3 locations later. But it's where all this cycling connections happens. It's where Advantageous does its bike education and training. We have Parramatta Bike Tours ready to relaunch their eco-cultural tourism programs. It's where Cycling Without Age is operating. We've got the Her Cycling Connections here, and the Riding for Positive Mental Health. So we've got so many things happening. As I said, mention bike and we'll create a program or a service around that. Yes, adaptive cycling is coming. Before anyone says to me, how do you make it inclusive? We've already done assistant dogs on the back of bikes, so anything's possible.
Fantastic. Well, Charlene, on behalf of the group, I'd just like to say thank you very much for putting that presentation together. We'll share that with the minutes from today's session. And another great example of how we can get people moving, on bikes. There's lots of different ways. I know, Ali, you were talking about gardening this morning, so it's whatever works, isn't it? It's not just all about sport. So we've got a bit of time now, which is was kind of tactical in terms. I wanted to give people the opportunity to share what's going on, anything I suppose front of mind, topical, but I'll leave it for a second. Jordan, you wanted to say something?
Hi everyone, thanks. I'm pretty excited to at least pitch in for the next couple of minutes. By the way, I'm from AusActive, if you haven't met me before. I don't think there should be some of the AusActive staff in here, but I think they're busy because we are launching a federal government activity challenge next week called Fit for Office. So the last month or so, probably since the last couple of meetings, we've got about 20 federal ministers, I think over 20 now, across Australia. And we're getting them to wear these heart rate monitors. You can see my video is not spamming too badly, for a month. And we're promoting all forms of physical activity. So this is a program Fit for Office. It was done in the States and in the UK. And in Australia, what we've done is just off the back of our all these sort of types of conversations, we've got more than the UK and more than the States had relatively and absolutely in terms of the MPs. Plus, we've got about 100 or so staff members that are attached to these MPs' offices involved in this program. So the next month is a really big opportunity for us as an organisation. And obviously, I think we've got Melissa McIntosh from Penrith, but in terms of Andrew Charlton, Miss Lee, Miss Stanley, and Miss Ware, for those, obviously there's a few others that I'm probably missing as well from your local areas and things. I'll put in a chat the link for a form to email your local MP and say, please get involved in this challenge. It's bipartisan, across the board, independents, Greens, Labor, Libs, whatever it might be. It's starting next Monday as well. So if you can act fast, that would be fantastic. But it's going to be a really good opportunity for us as an organisation to, obviously, our proviso is fitness and fitness facilities, yoga, Pilates and gyms and things. But when that's not the language that we're using in this challenge, the language that we're using is all types of activity counts, all ways of activity counts. Obviously, we're representing a sector of it, but we're talking about cycling, walking, active transport, all these other things there. Trying to be as inclusive as possible in this challenge. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'll put that in the chat, and I'll put my hand down and things as well. But I just wanted to share that, as that's Fit for Office happening next week. So really, really excited.
Jordan, great work, advocacy by the peak body, and I think trying to get political leadership in this stuff is really, really important. So yeah, it's been great to observe. Well done. Anybody else like to share? Tiffany, you just unmute there.
I seem to struggle with the hand up and down thing. Sorry. If it's not going to totally take over the meeting, David, just Jordan's point reminded me we are advocating nationally. So I don't know if people have ideas, and I've spoken to Liz and David about this before, but we're thinking nationally about ways to improve more physical activity. So if people have ideas about policies that the Commonwealth Department of Health can help with, I know that this group kind of thinks more on the state level, but if there are levers on the Commonwealth level that would help the local community, be interesting to hear what people's thoughts are, if there's time, David, and if I'm not hijacking.
Sure. Anybody got any thoughts on that? Ali?
We're on the right field. Okay?
I'm wondering if the Commonwealth could fund some place-based initiatives like the program Charlene's doing. I'm wondering whether there can be some direct funding or direct support given to actually increase, because it's at the local level where you're going to make a difference in helping with people moving. It's great to fund big strategies and initiatives and stuff, but little low-hanging fruit by actually funding programs and projects like this will make a big difference.
Helen?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, sort of similar to what Ali was saying there, by getting place-based initiatives integrated into the curriculum in schools across Australia. That would be a way to, to really increase participation.
Yeah, great point. Thank you. Liz?
I'll answer Helen's first before I go back to Ali's, but one is a big task, because that's obviously state-based. And I know that Deakin University are trying to do a lot of the work in Victoria to try and get that place-based work in schools. And then they're doing research, obviously, which is amazing, because in that way we can do that. That one would be a New South Wales government one, and I know things are being reviewed at the moment from a ministry level, even Go for Fun and different things like that, and what happens. So I won't talk to that because I'm not at ministry anymore. I'm at the Heart Foundation. But in regards to in regards to place-based initiatives, I can just say that part of the funding that we receive at Heart Foundation Walking is broader than just walking. We also have our Active Australia Innovation Challenge grants, which is about place-based, and it's 0 to 100. It's anybody in that remit. So we have paused this year's grants initiative to make next year bigger and better and have all of it all in one. And we're looking at how we just did a big evaluation on last year's community grants, which is amazing. If you go into Heart Foundation, you can go to that. I'll grab the link later and I'll send it around. But we will be launching that again in next year to do those grants. So keep an eye on that. I will promote it to this group when we're at that point. That'll be part of Lizzie's work, Elizabeth Hanna, who's our New South Wales Program Officer, to promote that a bit more broadly across the state and then we have our program officers across the country. But look at that. But I know that if you have a pushback saying what are they doing, they will say Heart Foundation has some money for that. So, but it is grants and it's competitive. Last year we had 20 grants and we had 350 applicants. So it's very competitive, but it's also an opportunity for people to, do that work at a community level. And we've had a lot of success. People have seed funding, people use it as startup, people use it as part of research. So it's amazing, but yeah, I'll keep you posted. But I think, having that as a collective conversation to continue to support that, we'd always love support to say, no, it's really good. People love it. We do that work to showcase how much people love it, but it's also, if a collective says this is something that's really needed, and even if we need more at a state level, I think this is where we need to look at how we advocate to, for us in this group, New South Wales government, to replicate the same thing.
So
Thanks,
Elizabeth,
Liz.
my comment to that, the word that kept on resonating here with me is grants. So just to let everyone know, as a social enterprise, and because I'm listed as a sole trader for Advantageous, and I'm a company for Parramatta Bike Tours, there's no not-for-profit arm of our business. And this is probably why my biggest ask, why I'm going into the corporate world, to be able to fund the amazing work that we're doing with the community. We're not entitled to those grants and fundings. So that's why I'm saying I'm grateful for City of Parramatta supporting the work that we've been able to do. 75% of that revenue has been reinvested back into the community. It's just, yeah. So grants for me would have to come from a collective approach of the appropriate bodies, the not-for-profit organisations or something like that. And we haven't been able to secure any sponsorship like that. I was just fortunate that Outdoors New South Wales ACT supported the New South Wales Health One for Riding for Positive Mental Health. It was just, yeah, fluke.
Thanks, Charlene. And I think just to round that off a little bit, in terms of this group really, and what the aspirations are for the symposium, because we're going to be talking a lot about this, and this is not, obviously Collective Leisure is initiated this, but this Western Sydney Movement isn't Collective Leisure. It's our group. And whether that forms into a non-for-profit itself, right, so we can all collectively go for something, is something that we could maybe explore. We've got UNSW, UTS and Western Sydney who are going to do a white paper after the symposium with some outcomes, and some of those outcomes might be, we might go for some Commonwealth funding, or we might target some low-hanging fruit. So that's kind of a little bit of some context of what we're trying to look at here. And systems work, you start somewhere and you're not quite sure where it's going to end up. So that's the exciting part as well. This is all a learning experience. Ali, Helen, did you jump in?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure. I just wanted to pick up on what Charlene was saying. It's a really good point. And David, it's great what we're trying to do here as far as getting up a not-for-profit org. We also need to be thinking creatively on how we give ownership back to the community, because that's where you're going to get behavioural change, is when the community actually has ownership of it. And that can happen through auspicing projects. So, councils auspicing community projects and groups to do do things. That's another way that even though you are a business or whatever, Charlene, maybe councils could, through their community grants programs or community grant schemes, can assist and help provide funding. Whether the Commonwealth can help provide some funding to councils to provide it to communities in that particular way, we'll get around some of that need, you know, for the red tape of having to be a not-for-profit, because sometimes it's really difficult. You get the will and the want to do it, but then the red tape is what then prevents great stuff from happening.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to put my hand up again. But I was interested if anybody knows of any, I guess, up-to-date, validated wellbeing survey tools. And if they do, I'll just put my email address in the chat. And if you just want to get in contact, because I'm doing some stuff with Western Sydney Uni to integrate wellbeing, active outdoor recreation into the curriculum for to improve wellbeing. So please get in contact.
I don't know, Helen, if you've seen Australia's first wellbeing framework that was brought out a few months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, good. Anything else anybody would like to share? I'm just going to pop in the link, the symposium, and you know, if it would be fantastic to see, you know, as many people there as possible. You know, we feel like this is a great opportunity now to keep the momentum going. I will say on the advertising, it says 8 o'clock start, which is an early start, but that's just because there's the option of a tour around the new facility there, which is the new $100 million facility in Blacktown, which opens in October. So I just wanted to clarify that. Heather.
Thanks, David. Charlene, thank you so much. I'm a long-term cyclist, so it's great to hear all the terrific work that you're doing. And I'm still a cyclist at my age, so there you go, and will be for a long time. But I did want a couple of things. I've worked a lot in a lot of new developments, and often they are looking, private developers, heaven forbid, but they do look for programs to run for communities. So that might be an option for you to approach some of those, even at a ground level in those communities. That you know, to run a little program to get the community using some of the facilities, and some of those new estates do have, or new communities do have, cycle facilities, so, and walking. So that's just an idea. And the other, I just wanted to give a guess, given the hot weather, a little plug for I wear many hats, but one of them that I do wear is I'm a volunteer with the Red Cross emergency services, primarily because I live in an area that can be flood prone and bushfire prone. And I just got an email this morning actually about a text this morning from the Red Cross about the that apparently 18 million people live in local government areas in Australia which have been impacted by at least one disaster this last year. So it's a big issue for us all, and the Red Cross are running a lot of preparedness workshops for community groups. I facilitate some of those, so a heap of other volunteers. You know, we're all out trying to get people more prepared about any disaster that may, or emergency that may happen, whether it's floods or bushfires or whatever. There's also a great app that you can download that's called Get Prepared. It's free. It just helps you physically and mentally to understand the sort of things that you might need to do if you have to leave your home or your workplace or wherever you are. So just getting you prepared for that is really important. So the Get Prepared app is fantastic. Just download it. It's really easy. It'll take you 5 minutes to do, to fill it in, or share it with your various volunteer groups, or if you want someone to come and talk to a community group or volunteer group or your workplace, the Red Cross certainly will do that if you just contact them. We've got an office in Blacktown. So Lynn Hogan is one of our coordinators there, and she's at Blacktown, and we're running preparedness workshops all over the place at the particularly Western Sydney, given our upcoming bushfire season, unfortunately. So I just wanted to give that plug. Thank you. Thanks, David.
That was really really good and welcomed. Thank you for all of that. Really good information. And yeah, it's going to be a challenging summer, I think. Anybody else like to share anything topical, anything happening in your areas you'd like to talk about? No? We're all good? Yeah. Well, they say a short meeting's a good meeting. So I'd just like to, give Charlene a big round of applause. Well done, Charlene. You did very well.
Thank you. I can breathe easy now.
You sure can. And yeah, hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll hopefully see you soon. Take care.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.